We're going to do a little bonus video today talking about the Google Plus integration with YouTube, which can be a bit of a mystery even to people who are experts on it. Fortunately, I do have an expert to help guide me through it because I get lost occasionally. Susan Shangle of Netfatuation. Susan, thanks for walking me through this.
My pleasure, Steve. I like to say Google is not complicated, but it is complex, and figuring out how all the moving parts, which are constantly moving in addition, work together to help get your message out to the right people at the right time can be a little overwhelming at times. So happy to take a look at some of the tips and tricks I've come across to help managing my Google Plus presence a lot easier and fun.
Good. So the genesis of this was we were actually having a conversation yesterday and preparing for another webinar which we were doing where I was talking to you about how I manage my profile on YouTube, and it's all about community management. And you gave me some great tips. You actually just as some of the things that I was doing, I was a little misguided on a couple of the things that I was doing on the YouTube integration with Google Plus. So I said, rather than just me doing this in a vacuum and me learning from it, I think this would be something great for my YouTube community to learn about. So you were willing to share it. So we're partway through the process, but we stopped cold yesterday, and now we're going to kind of restart and retrace a few of the steps. Is that okay?
That sounds great.
Okay, so I will come back to you in a moment, but right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start a screen share so that we can jump into my YouTube account so we can see exactly what's happening in YouTube. So there's my YouTube account as it sits today. So let's talk about community, and I'll just start with what I've been doing, and then you jump in and start navigating and start guiding me into some of the different areas, to make sure that I'm managing the community and the Google Plus relationship properly. And of course, this whole thing began in October of 2013, I think, when YouTube changed their rules as far as engagement in their community forums, requiring a Google Plus account in order to be able to post comments. It caused quite a bit of furor amongst some of the people who like to troll and be as rude as possible in YouTube. But for content creators, it created an opportunity for us to turn YouTube into a real social network where good engagement can happen. Now, for me, you wanted to jump in and say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, because this is one of the very confusing things about Google Plus, is as you mentioned, Google for a while there was trying to get people to join the Google Plus social layer network in order to, get people involved, and requiring that for more and more of their services. In fact, now you can still participate on YouTube without a Google Plus account as long as you have some sort of Google account.
Yeah.
So that means Gmail, Analytics, Blogger, Maps, YouTube already. So you can keep them independent, and it has changed over the period of time, and they're currently, as long as you have some ID with Google, you can comment and participate on YouTube.
Good. That's good clarification. So now what I have done in the past year or so on my channel is I've made sure that in the comments area that I have really done a good job of replying to every comment posted on every one of my videos. Now in the comments threads in YouTube, if you go into the community tab, that will bring you into a listing of all of your comments. So I'm just going to click on that, and we're going to go take a look at my comments. And now the process that I've gone through, and you've opened my eyes to a few things that I'm doing, is I know that some of the comments that are posted here are also posted on people's Google Plus page, but not all of them. And it gets a little bit confusing. But if we look at this post from Bookhard, we see that he has actually shared it on Google Plus. So I'm always going to be able to tell by looking at the post just how far afield the sharing and the social connections are going. Correct?
Yes, and so that give us a clue as to where that person has decided, what they have decided to do with their post when they made it. So that's a tick box as you're looking at an individual, as a user, as a YouTube watcher of Steve's videos. When I look at them and I want to make a comment, there'll be a little box below there that gives me the ability to also share that publicly on Google+. And so then you wonder, well, who sees that comment? So I can share it publicly, but in the comment box, I can also limit that to share it only with one group of my circles. So we do know that this comment is out there on Google+, but we may not always know who is able to see it there. But we know that if we interact with the comment with Burkhart and we plus mention him, and all that means, it's kind of like on Twitter when you @mention someone. And so right there, as you can see, when you do that, he will receive a little, what we call Mr. Jingle. So that's the little bell up in the corner. That same bell we see in YouTube that tells you you have a notification will also show up for him that you've responded.
So.
And this comment looks like it will be attached to his original comment if he made this totally public.
Okay, so when in the past, when we had comments, when we hit reply, it didn't always plus mention, and you had to do the plus manually, but now it seems to plus mention everybody as we go along. So that's a step in the right direction. So now when I click reply on this, it will now be posted on Burkhart's profile as well as in the thread here, correct? So it's going into two places?
It should be. Let's just click reply, and then in another window, let's hop over. That should hopefully take us to his Google Plus profile. There was a little Google Plus link in the corner. So see his Google Plus right above the subscribe button. There's a Google Plus link. Let's go over to his actual profile. To the right-hand side. Yeah, take it there. That should take us right to his profile.
Poor Burkhart. He's about to become famous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he'll get a lot more than 68 followers. So and there you go. You can see, because he posted this publicly, we get to see the link. Now, any of his 68 people, or should he choose to share this, will now get both the link to watch your video as well as the fact of knowing that you're a person that takes time to interact with the people who take time to talk to them. Now, so that's a good thing.
Now, I didn't give a thumbs up to his comment here. Is it redundant? Now, the thumbs up, if I gave him the thumbs up here, that would resolve here as a plus, would it not?
Let's try it out and see exactly. I'm not sure if they're only plus wanting to, or thumbs upping to.
Let's refresh his thing here.
Sure. So yes, exactly. You can see the plus one is right here. Yeah. So
the thumbs up.
So those are working together.
So would you advise? I never. What I do, how I use the pluses, is two ways. One is, quite often people have posted they have all replies turned off, which I find kind of curious that they would post and they would have replies turned off. So you can't always respond, and I find it frustrating because often they're asking questions and I'm not able to respond. But for those people, I just give a plus. I just click the thumbs up so they know that I've read it. And also when I'm in a thread, once a person's say I've thanked them or I've answered their question, they've thanked me back, rather than me writing another reply, I'll just give a thumbs up or a plus to let them know that I've read it, to kind of check it off and as a polite thing to do. Am I using them properly, would you say, at that point?
I would say yes. The interesting thing about a plus one is it has a variety of meanings in I like to call it the Googleverse, so the kind of universe of Google tools, and especially on G+. So sometimes it means I agree, sometimes it means I've seen it, sometimes it means I liked what you did. So it doesn't have a specific meaning, unlike I think the like button on Facebook, just because it's called like, has a slightly different meaning than a plus one. And plus ones count in a bunch of different ways. They impact your view count on your profile, and they also, plus ones are what help make a post hit the what's hot on Google list. When there's a large amount of plus one activity in a short period of time, that's often a trigger to Google to pull something up onto the what's hot list in the platform, which of course gets you tons of exposure to people that may not have seen your content otherwise.
So the question is then, should I be plussing every comment that appears in my comments field, or is that plus spamming?
Well, that's hard to say because the plus one is only going against that individual and that individual's circle. So it's not like when you plus one, it goes out to every part of your network. So if you plus 150 people, I'm not going to get 50 notifications that Steve plus,
because I don't
thumbs up that.
I'm going to, but you don't see anything wrong with me staying with my convention of using it in place of a comment for the most part.
Absolutely,
Okay.
because you're providing feedback, and not every if someone says thanks, I loved it, what are you going to say back?
Yeah, that's what I typically.
I find lame comments worse than no comment at all, personally. When it's just fluff, and I know that people have good BS detectors, if
Yeah.
I can be so bold, and they know when it's sincere. So I think I agree with you that the +1 or the thumbs up is a nice way of saying, yep, I've acknowledged this, and you're showing your appreciation that they took time to stop by and interact with you. And I
Good.
think that's perfectly appropriate.
So we've gone through. So now in my typical workday, I will deal with all of the comments in my list. But then once I've done that, this is where you've really opened my eyes. Is I go over to this notification bell. Now it's a higher number than normal. Normally in a morning I'll have about 20, but since I haven't done this because I've been leaving it for this demo. But this has all the notifications that are coming into my Google Plus account. Now in this particular case, the Google Plus account that it's coming to is the Dottotech page. Because that's what I'm signed in as. And so now what I'd like you to do with me, if you don't mind, is work through a proper system for dealing with these notifications, because I was glossing over some of the most important areas. I'll first of all tell people just what I was doing, and then you can tell them why it was wrong. I would go through it. Well, it was. I would go through, and I did not have a good sense of what the most value was in Google+. So I would go through, and anytime there was just a share or anything like that, I would just kind of see it and keep going. When people had posted comments that had not appeared in these comments over here because they posted them directly on my page, I would reply to them at that point. But for the most part, I would start, and typically speaking, one of the first posts is going to be this one here, which is Google letting me know who has circled me. So I thought this was the highest form of flattery possible. So I would go through and I would choose each one of these people and I would just designate them into my top YouTube fans because they had circled me. So I'd go through all of them that would allow. You see the one at the bottom there is restricted. But I would go through them all, and you can see it's such a manual process. But let me just scroll down to the bottom here. I couldn't do Robert, but I'll do the rest, and I would add them to my top YouTube fans. And I thought that I was being a social media maven, a god of social media, because I was being so smart as to put these people here. But then you disabused me of that notion quite quickly. Because why?
So understanding how Google is different than the other social networks. So I actually like to call it, Google has named themselves a social layer, because as you see, we're in YouTube right now, and the notifications that we see in the top right corner are actually from our social page. And in addition, if you're in Gmail, same thing. So that notification bar kind of follows you on whatever part of Google you happen to be using. That's why it's more of a layer than, let's say, a Facebook or a Twitter, where you need to be signed in specifically to that service in order to interact. So in Google, when you circle someone, they get a little pop-up, just like Steve did, that you have been circled. And a question I'm often asked is, can they see the name of the circle that I put them in? And the answer is no. You can put them in any circle you want, and you can put them in multiple circles as well. A person can be in a variety of circles at the same time based on different levels that we'll talk about in a minute. So when we have that set up, when someone circles me, that means they're saying, hey, I'm interested in seeing more of what you're doing. Now, they could have actually circled you into a circle that they say, don't show me any content from that person, and you wouldn't know it. You just know that they've taken the action of circling you.
Okay.
And all that person is going to get notified is that you've responded. So we haven't really built a relationship. We've just kind of had a transaction at this moment in time. Mm-hmm. So what I look for is as people, so if someone's added me to a circle just randomly here, we don't really know why, it's good to respond back and put them in a kind of general circle. And so Steve's identifying them as top YouTube fans, because then we know out of all the people or circles he has on the Dottotech page, these people came from YouTube versus coming from Patreon versus coming from
Okay.
Evernote or some other way that Steve might have made contact with them originally. So you're on track here with what you were doing was not a bad start, but it's leaving a lot of information on the
I was leaving
table,
the best part.
perhaps.
I was leaving the best part because, as you explained to me, this next notification here, which says these 3 people, which we already looked at Burkhart, shared my video, shared this video.
Exactly.
This is a much higher form of love.
Exactly. So in circling is just saying, yes, we agree to have some sort of interaction. And then there's 3 actions that a person can take on any specific post that you've made. They can +1 it, and as we talked earlier, sometimes that's just the easy, yeah, I saw it, it was cool. Sometimes it means I really agree. It means I've acknowledged that you've sent me something, especially in a private conversation. So the +1 is kind of, it's a one click, and it doesn't take a lot of effort when we stop and think about it. It's one mouse click.
It's like liking an Instagram post, double tapping on it.
Exactly. It's just that simple acknowledgement. Whereas if someone has taken time to comment on your page, now they've typed some things. In other words, they were inspired or moved enough by what you shared to say, hey, that had meaning to me, or just acknowledge with more words. So that's my second level of effort. So +1 is lowest level. Commenting is next level up. And then if they've taken time to share, they're actually in a Google world saying, I feel strongly enough about this and it's going to be useful for the people that are following me that I want to push this out to my network. So sharing to me is the highest form of love, because if I'm always sharing stuff that the people following me don't like, they're going to stop following me or they're going to mute me. So I think really hard about whose content do I push out to my people in addition to content I may create myself. So sharing is the highest form of love, and we want to acknowledge those people 2 ways. We're going to put them into a group called sharing, so if we want to interact with them in the future, we know that this is a person that has taken time, loved us enough to pass it on. Sharing is caring, as we like to say. So they've passed that on. So we go ahead and put a tick box in there. And in addition, we would probably want to visit the share on their page and make a comment. Just say thanks for sharing, or depending on what they might have wrote when they shared the post, we may want to comment. You know, every comment is slightly different.
So I do that by clicking on their name?
Yes, that's one way of getting there. There's a couple different, as with everything in computers, there's always multiple ways of doing everything. And so we can either attack it, we'll take a look at just a second. So what we're seeing when we arrive here with a quick scroll, we don't see that that post is appearing on their public page. So they may have shared it privately.
Okay.
So it could have been shared, but not with, we can't see or comment. So if they only have 1 follower, because this is a page, let's go back and look at Burkhart for a minute. Maybe he has, we can look at the one he shared.
Okay, just a minute. Oops, if I close down.
No, he's right there. Just scroll down. I see.
I wanted to find my comments again. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Just a minute. There's my comments, because we have somebody else here that's done it as well. So let's just take a look at I am Shrey. So you hover it over, and then I can add them. So I've already added them to my sharing list, but let's just go back in, and there we go.
And let's not move. Oh, sorry, 2 places at once.
So this share, again, doesn't look like they did. Oh, there it is. There it is. Public.
There it is. Okay. So you can see that your comment that you made to him when you replied appears there already. Good. So you essentially, responded. We can, again, do we need to make another comment that says thanks for sharing? Probably not. At this point, I would probably +1 his post, call it a good thing, and now, he's gotten a notification that you both liked the fact that he made the post and you've taken time to make a personal comment.
Now, should I, because they commented as well, is it a given if somebody shares that they've commented for the most part? It's like a...
No.
Oh, okay. So I should add that they commented there as well.
Yeah, 2 totally different areas. Commenting doesn't reach the same amount of people commenting, usually only pings the other people that have already commented on the post as well as the creator of the post, where sharing, they can both control who they send it out to, and if they're using circles, oftentimes when you're sharing with a specific circle, you'll have the opportunity to click a box and say email. And I just want to take a quick side note, since we're teaching people about this technique. You don't want to click the send email to my circles unless you have permission from people. It's not, otherwise they're going to see you as a spammer. So what we commonly do on Google Plus is you might, in your profile about page, say, if you'd like to be notified of every post that I make, let me know, and I'll put you in what we tend to call a notification circle, and that means that person has given us permission to email. You'll also see a lot on public Hangouts that people will say, if you participated in the Hangout, you're giving me permission to invite you in the future, and if you don't want to be invited, let me know. So there's kind of two levels of this, making sure we have permission before we send out an email to 234 people. Just because Google allows us to do it doesn't mean it's always the best way to go about it. And I'll share a quick story. I had a post on a Tesla that came to town, so I got a lot of people that were obviously interested in electric vehicles. And then I came across some other information later, and I did want to make sure they saw it. So I took a risk, and I did send them all an email. There was about 94 people in my circle. And I said in the email, sorry to send this without permission, but I thought, you know, based on what you liked, that you might be really interested in this, and I didn't want you to miss it. If you never want to be notified again, let me know, and I'll make sure I never do this again. So you can kind of approach it from a few different ways, but that's important to remember, that if you are responding and sending things out to a specific circle, you'll not want to overuse that tool.
Got it. So basically then, as far as we are concerned right now, as far as our comments,
yes.
Thanks for that. By the way, that good piece of advice to not be a spammer.
Yeah, so you don't want to do that.
What I should be doing is I was thinking I was through 90% of my work when I went through my comments, published comments here, and that by the time I got into my notification, I was in the stretch run. But in fact, I should be spending a lot more time in the notifications area, working my way through, making sure that I, for lack of better terms, honor each and every step of the way. So here we've got, this is the company actually that I did a review of. So there they mentioned me. So I don't necessarily have to thank the company for sharing it, because it's to their own benefit. But I will add them to those circles. I don't need to necessarily say.
Yes. And go back to swipes for just 1 second. I would also throw swipes into your following circle, because it's just an easy way to tell companies from individuals.
Okay, so in circles, so, there we go.
And yeah, just.
Oh, that's not me following them. That's them following me.
Yes. Well, you're following them, and following is a very specific circle type in Google. Mm-hmm. So that's a little beyond the scope of today, but following does have special implications. It's a default category that Google makes, and when you say send this to all there's a choice, send it to my circles. And when we do that, following is always omitted, so it's only sending to individuals and not to companies. So it has a special meaning.
So we'll continue on. Let's see if we see anything else that's different. Here we have swipes. It was reshared and commented. Oh, I know what I want.
So this is a really good example. Let's pause on this one. If you scroll up, and right below where it says .otech, there are two pieces of information. It says shared publicly, and then there's a link that says yesterday. Click on that, please, the yesterday link. Where this takes you is to the individual post that Google has created. Now, realize when you post on Google, this is indexable by Google search, and this could be found by anyone that is searching for swipes and Evernote. This result would very likely show up, and it would definitely show up if you have any sort of interaction. If they are a follower of yours and they were to search in regular Google search, they would be likely to turn up this post.
Searching right now in YouTube, and let's see if it's there. It is there. It's one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth in organic now for YouTube for that combination. Okay, for
Exactly.
just that short tail search. Okay, so this is an important
Okay.
page then. So this is the page that's going to actually, when we start thinking about search engine optimization and ranking in Google search, this page is going to become very important to us. Now this video is new, so it's chances are of it ranking in Google search yet are, I mean, it's only been up for less than 24 hours. Are very.
Exactly.
I mean, the fact that it's 5th in YouTube search is pretty good.
So let's explore this just a little bit more because it has a little bit of everything on it. Right on that, right above the Evernote hashtag, there is a little arrow that appears. And if we drop that down, you have a bunch of options to do with any particular post. And one of these is to embed this in your blog as well. So you can take your again, your content, if you're, let's say you're focused really on YouTube, that's your right place to be, it's the right place, and you're growing your subscribers. You can pull this post instantly into your blog so that people that are reading your blog, and all the comments appear, it's live, it's always updated, so it allows you to repurpose content pretty quickly.
Oh, let's explore that for a second, because that
okay,
is
sure.
an interesting idea. Because right now, let me just jump over to my blog itself. And let's sorry, this will be very irritating probably. I'm just going to go over to my website. I'm not going to edit anything out. This is going to be
that's okay.
This is going to be raw.
This is bonus.
Let me just sign into my account here so that we can actually create a post,
sure.
because this is interesting.
No.
Yeah, logging into WordPress is interesting. But there it is. I'm logging into the back end of my WordPress account. But let me also just go to the front end of the Dottotech site. There we go. So right now, what I do is I embed each video as a post here. At just the YouTube video is what is embedded in all of my Isn't that interesting how the they're the slates, they're coming up. So there's that video.
Taking a little while.
So this is just the video that I've embedded. You're saying that instead of embedding this video from YouTube, which I just brought from the YouTube channel, directly from the YouTube channel itself, that it's a good that we can embed the Google Plus post. And it's going to give us different, it's because like I've turned comments off on my WordPress site because they're just untenable. But this will allow people to start to comment. So should we change this? Let's create a new post. Let's create a really quick new post, just so we can see exactly what it's going to look like. So I'm just going to create a new post. Because do you know what it looks like when you embed it? Have you done that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I have. Okay. I actually, so what I often do, I have a post that I'm kind of my pinned post to my page, which is a little rant I did about picking the right social media network for you. I like to call Google Plus the Rodney Dangerfield of social media. It gets no respect. And because it has a very snazzy graphic that I also created of the Boston Marathon, it gets a lot of attention. And so when I'm a guest speaker on the topic, I often like to share that post and people embed it in their blogs. So it's easy for someone to do. And I think that's good. It might depend on your theme to where you have to post things. So, but it is a very embeddable element. So let's just try with the standard.
Okay, so just have to publish it, and I've saved it as a hidden post so that it's not up on my main page. Let me just publish it. Oh, save. Oh, that's probably because it's so small. Oops. There it is. I couldn't see my publish page because I've zoomed in my screen here. So okay, so it's in hidden posts. So here is swipes for Evernote. So this is what it will look like now as a post. Not necessarily how it's going to look on the landing page, but now it has this new header that is not in my normal post.
People can follow you directly, and they can follow you directly onto YouTube. So they can add you to a circle directly from the post.
Okay, we're gonna try something different now. We're gonna mess with my poor site right now. And anybody that's online right now on the Dottotech site is going to get. Oh, come on, this is just too zoomed in. There we go. I'm gonna turn off hidden posts and I'm gonna post it on the front page. There it is. So now it's going to replace. It's going to actually go over top of the other published post. So let's take a look at what it looks like if it's just on the page as a post.
Home page, yeah. We're different formatting.
So let's take a look. So there's my home page. It says swipes for Evernote. Okay, so now it doesn't. It's not doing a. Oh, it does a preview. Oh, look at that. Do I want that,
And
or do
so
I like
now
that?
you're seeing all the social media love, though. I mean, you've got your social proof right here with your pluses and your comments.
Mm-hmm.
So something to think about.
But it's also not reflected down. Now, these we should point out that these social share tools below are from WordPress. So we can see here, and now they're linked through. So I've got all my likes on Facebook and stuff like that. And I've also got some Google Plus shares, which should be reflected here, I imagine. Or maybe not. It would be reflecting back on this post here itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is an entirely different way to look at that post. And that is worth, and this is going to, now, here's the benefit. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm still going to get the YouTube play, but I'm not going to get, but I'm going to get more Google search juice out of this post than I ever will out of this post here, which is just going to basically give my post a read on my site, which is never really going to be found compared to a Google Plus page because it doesn't have the site authority as Google Plus, right? And do you want to comment on that?
I'm thinking, yes, that so far you're thinking of sound, but I just want to declare I am not an SEO expert.
Nor am I, even though I play one on TV.
Good one.
Okay, well, I don't hate that. I'm not sure I hate that. What happens then when I share that post? When I take this as a post, let's go ahead. Let's continue the experiment, the grand experiment.
Certainly.
So I'm going to take that and I'm going to go to Facebook.
And folks, this is bonus. This is content you can't get anywhere else. Let me guarantee you that.
So I am going to jump over onto my Dottotech page, and we're just live posting crap. We're just posting crap, seeing if it sticks to the wall. Okay,
that's right.
So now, typically speaking, in my publishing process, I then take that post, and it formats beautifully, and I post it here, see? And it's got some love. It's got 554 people. I've only got 4,000 some odd people in my Facebook community. So it's not doing horribly. It's got some shares, got some thumbs up, so it's doing good. But let's see what happens. What does it look like if I post a Google Plus post? Just a minute. A Google Plus posted page post from my site in Facebook, and post, and let's just see what happens. And it resolves thusly. Not well. Here's what's happening. It's pulling the whole web page. So this is where it breaks. Okay, but that's okay. That's not the end of the world.
Let's go to the post, though. I think we pulled that off of the main page. Can we just double check? Oh, okay. Let's just resolve that. Yeah.
It is the full post. So if I go to
oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's the full post page, which is right there. But having said that, there's another way, there's another backdoor in which case you would ignore in Facebook this post, and you would just post a link. Well, you'd just post, no, you'd not even use your own image. Well, yeah, I guess I could replace my own image, but then I won't have the link through to the page. I was going to say I would just post the YouTube video, which isn't the end of the world. Because the whole idea here is, what are you going to get more search juice out of? What are you going to get more discovery out of? And I think the fact is, if this is going to work the way we think it is in Google search, we're going to get a lot more bang for our buck out of having it posted this way.
Right, because remember, the Facebook wall is searchable.
Yes.
And so every time we choose to put it behind the Facebook wall, it's never going to get as much Google juice as it will. You're going to get more off of Twitter now with the new agreement for Google to index the Twitter fire hose than we'll ever get off of Facebook. Unless Facebook suddenly opens up, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. But again, I'm not Mark, so.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, it's something that I'm on to and we're kind of looking into. I'm going to scroll down to a fairly popular post that I had here, because you mentioned something else in this mix to me, and there it is, Google Forms. This is a post that's been up for about 2 months for me, and it's done very well. It's done about 60,000 views on YouTube, but it's also done quite well in Google Plus. There's quite a few comments, but this little carrot that you pointed out that we dropped down. You showed me this other thing which I want to share with the audience, is you view ripples. This is where you can see who's clicked on something and how it's shared out through the community.
There you go.
At that. Isn't that something? This shows me where it started here in my in my Google Plus account, and it's gone onto my website, I think, and all the different places that it's been shared, and the different people that have shared it, and it just kind of how a post radiates out. Ooh, so
you can actually, down at the bottom, if you scroll down just a little bit, there's a timeline. You can actually play it and watch it spread. So if we scroll down just a hair, yeah, see that little play button? We can see from the time it posted. And every one of those links, yeah.
The bigger the circle, the more influential the poster?
The more people, yes, I believe that's the more people in their network that it was shared with. And again, these are only public shares, but 70 public shares is a huge amount.
It is, eh? Good. Well, yes. This is a video that's done quite well.
And realize it's looking at, it's not just looking at, so we see in the purple Dotto Tech circle that those people in there, so Ian and Mary and Andrea, those people all shared directly from your post on the Google Plus network, whereas these random circles out here are people that shared the post just by finding the link some other way, usually.
So they could have found it on my website or something like that.
Right. They could have seen it anywhere. Someone could have mentioned it in a private chat, but then they chose to take that link. So it's looking at this, what happened to this piece of content when we look at the right where we see Google Forms, Google Drives, Hidden Gem. It's that piece of content, it's watching that flow. And so this is also a tool to follow influencers as well. If you see a popular post, you can see who are the people that interact with that topic. Wow. So it's a huge opportunity and a set of analytics that really allow you to understand. And if we stay with that same post, Steve, we can post, I want to just talk about two other things on, just back to the original post on the Dotto Tech page.
Yep.
So under those carrots, in addition to ripples, we have another thing, which is the view post activity. So this is another way that we can easily see who's giving us love. And so we were doing it from the notifications before, but let's say we're going back to older posts because now we want to catch up with some people that have liked us. This is a way we can, again, throw them into our appropriate circles. Throw is a little word.
So 60 plus the post, I could just go in for Mary and give it a plus there.
There you go.
And plus and commented. So under Harvey, I would add comment and plus. So yeah,
you got it.
So even if you're late to the game, as I am, with understanding all of the extra benefit of, or what I should be doing community-wise in Google Plus, by going through the history, that all of these analytics are phenomenal. Now, I'm going to just let's stop this conversation about this right now, because I know now that I've got a lot more work to do working through the notifications and managing it. But what is the end game? Why am I worried about putting all of these circles together? What am I going to be able to do with these circles now, other than look at a number and say, wow, they're all in people, right? If I go to people.
Yes.
There we go, people. What am I going to be able to do with the... I got a terrible header on my page, so I got to get my guys on that. I've got a beautiful image. Come on, go to people. People.
And the other thing that's helpful to do, that my little social media trick, especially because you have both a profile and a page, is to have almost the same photo but slightly different, so that myself, when I'm posting, I know which person I am. So I'll tell you my little secret. My picture that I use on both the Netfatuation page and my Susan Shangle page as a person is both me. One, the hair's behind my ears, and the other one, it's not behind my ears. And it's that little difference. So you want to look consistent. So if somebody's looking for you, they say, oh, yes, that's the right Steve Dotto. And you and I are fairly lucky, Steve, that we have kind of unusual names and there's not a bazillion out there. But if you're Mary Clark or James Murray or any of making it easy for people that are looking for you on a social network to find you by having a consistent profile picture across all of your networks is just a good tip I've gotten from the experts.
So that's great. I think I'll get one of me taken naked and one with clothes on for that.
That sounds perfect. I'll be able to tell Dotto Tech from Steve at any moment.
I'm not going to say which I'm going to use. Now that I've got people identified in my circles, and within a couple of days now, these numbers here will be much greater in the sharing and comments, which is theoretically going to tell me who my real most ardent supporters are. What can I do with these circles now?
So a couple of things you can do. Let's say you wanted to put out a piece of content and you only wanted your most ardent people to be able to see it.
Okay.
So we talked about the 3 levels of circles. Let me just add in the last level. So we have the sharing circle, we have the commenting circle, and we have the +1, and then we were going to use a whether you want to call it super fan, someone that's done all 3 of those actions then moves into my engagers context. So we have a couple of options of what we can do with the circles. And what you just clicked on, the sharing circles, is a very interesting way to handle it too. So there's 2 things you can do. You could put out a piece of content and send it only to those people. So if we were looking at this and this was an actual post, down here in the to box, if you drop down the drop down arrow next to that, we could get rid of, just X out the public, and we'll start to top in sharing. So if we only share it with the sharing circle, those are the only people that get to see that content. So this allows you to give a thank you or say something or provide something special to a particular group or circle.
When I add top YouTube fans, the number should change, right?
No, what you clicked on was share a circle. So actually what that does, sharing a circle means you're going to send the list of those people to everyone else, so I could drop them into my circles.
Oh.
So it's one of the comment. So for example, let's say you wanted to do top commenters of the week, and during the week you watch for your top people and you want to give them some Google love and share with your community, hey, I think these people are really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So you could circle them up as a circle. If you make this post, then anyone that clicks on this post to add people, those 8 people would instantly be added to my personal circles.
Oh, okay.
So we're in a sharing. So sharing a circle is a way to give acknowledgement. Now this is one of those Google things that has gone through a transition. In the beginning, there were no such things as communities. So making shared circles and sharing them was a way to engage people around a particular topic. So let's say we're all passionate about YouTube. I find 50 great YouTube people. I put them in a circle and I share that out. And so now all 50 people can instantly circle each other, and now we can talk to each other. Google has since invented communities, which is a much better way to go about doing that. Sharing is also used, it's kind of a black hat technique if you're just going for building follower numbers. There are big circle shares of 500 people, and the deal is, hey, if you add me, I'll add you. I don't recommend that because it's not about quantity for me, it's about quality. I don't need big numbers. I would much rather have a small following that cares than big numbers that just look good on paper and nobody's engaging.
Got it.
Now, from within the circles, that's one of the things, is sharing a circle. If we just go to a regular post by going to the top right-hand corner and clicking a plus, the plus button, yep, there you go. So if we were to just write a post, this is in this area is where we could share some content that was exclusive to the people we include in the circle. And if we add, for example, the sharing circle, that's where you'll also see that button where we could send them a specific email. So if I was going to, for example, send them a see, there you go. You can also send an email. So those comment people would receive an email in whatever account they have associated with their G+ profile from Steve Dotto, or from Dotto Tech in this case, with the message in it.
And is there a limit to the number of people you can send to?
Yeah, we find that somewhere around, I'd say try to keep circles that you intend to email in the future. So think of this from an email management, list permission and getting your followers to respond. It's the only social media tool where it allows you to email directly to bunches of people.
Mm-hmm. I think you have to be very careful with it. I think you have to be very, very careful. I'm not going to use that at all.
You do.
As a matter of fact, I will probably never, other than perhaps guests on a show or people that I like, if I put a little circle together just as a convenience to making it like a mail list would be, a small little mail list would be in Gmail. I would never use this for marketing purposes, ever.
Not without permission, and I will say it's fairly common to ask for permission. So for example, I discovered that I have a lot of people that follow me that are very interested in antique cars. Now, antique cars is not what I do for a living,
Okay.
but I might want to make a circle. So out of those people, I might want to say, if you're interested in always seeing any antique car posts, let me know, and I'll put you in a special circle so that you get notified. And that's a fairly common cultural thing on Google+, but as you mentioned, Steve, the important part is asking permission. So that's what we want to be careful of.
That is awesome. That's a great tutorial. I mean, the stuff that we've walked through is, I mean, I knew yesterday when we started talking about the stuff that I was going to learn something new, and you've opened my eyes even further with it, especially around the posting the Google post as my blog post. I'm going to play with that. That might end up being something quite valuable as far as me brand building online. It's an interesting tip. But regardless, this time I have to. Now, you've just made more work for me because now I have to spend that much more time every morning dealing with my community. But that's what we want to know.
Well, you know, we're lucky to have communities and people that care, and I know you appreciate your community members as much as I do mine. And it does give you, just when you were talking about the circles, here's another example. I'm very active in Evernote, and that's one of the ways you and I connected originally. It's a passion of mine and one of my favorite. It's a I can't live without tool for me. And so when I first got active on Google+, there are a few very active Evernote communities. And I did a couple of polls. And one of the poll questions I asked was related to a post, a comment that Phil Lieben, the CEO of Evernote, made. And he was talking about their thinking about raising the cost of Evernote because it's a very low-cost product. And he has a 100-year plan, so you know he's thinking into the future. But he said a quote, and he said, "It's more important to us that you play than that you pay." And I thought that's a really interesting comment. So I made a nice little poll in Google+, and I posted it into this community that has like 15,000 members. And the question was, do you pay for Evernote? Yes, I pay monthly. I only pay when I need to. No, I've never paid. Because I was just curious what other people were doing. And by tracking and putting into circles the people that responded, I now have a segregated circle of 221 people that I know are willing to pay because they pay for Evernote.
Yeah.
Now, how will I use that information? Again, that is something you have to tread lightly, but I now know that that's a group that's at least a good target market. And again, I would never email them without permission, but now at least if I come up with something I want them to know about, I might send that post and only make it available to those 241 people and ask them a question saying, +1 this if you'd like more information, and then I would feel comfortable having permission to email them directly. So I guess it's an interesting tool, tread lightly, but that's another way that you can use circles.
If you, Susan, thank you. And if you think that Susan's method of teaching and explaining Google Plus would be of benefit to you, I encourage you to go to netfatuation. Is it .com? Netfatuation.com?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. We'll put a link in, and so that people can find you. But we're gonna have to do this again sometime. My brain is spinning. I think we probably almost did too much. We should have probably.
That's okay. We can. Yeah, I know that feeling. There's that brain overload limit. So one of the things I'm big about in my training is limiting our sessions to short little bits and bites, so that people can have time to absorb and think about it, and then come back with questions. And of course, anyone can find me on Google Plus with my name here. You'll see the same smiling picture you see below. So I'd love to have you come circle me over there. And if you do, feel free to send me a message and let me know that this is how we connected, so that I can put you in my special Friends of Steve Dotto circle, which I actually have. It's called the Dotto Engagers.
There we go.
And it's a great way to connect both as a business and with individuals. And I highly recommend that, especially if you're focused on YouTube, that you look at its sister product and take advantage of all the tools that are available to you there.
Well, now I have no excuse. My eyes have been open. I went and took the damn blue pill or the green pill or whatever color pill it was.
The red pill, blue pill.
Whatever the
This
pill.
this is the psychedelic pill. Actually, it's multicolored.
Here we go, Susan. Thanks so much. A little bit of a different feature today, but I think fascinating for those of us in the social media space. We're going to call it a day. Susan, appreciate your time once again. For everybody else, till next.
Anytime.
Thank you. Till next time. Have fun storming a castle.